Yo, what up, everybody? ETAonTheEUC. I'm on the MTen4 600 watt hour. Another podcast, yeah. So you might hear in my voice, I'm a little sick. I won't even call it sick. It's because it got hotter lately, and I have a fan that's been sitting. I turn the fan on when I go to sleep, and all that dust mite shit blows right into my throat as I sleep, dries out my throat, and now, yeah, I got a sore throat, so I got the morning voice. I'm riding to the Greenway bike pathway. I never know if I'm saying that right, but that's where I'm going right now. Kind of windy. I am going to edit this a little bit because my last podcast I talked forever, and I got a little bit more time to edit. I think my last podcast was on the Commander Pro. And I just kind of want to put it out because I think people were like waiting for me to put it out. The small amount of people that actually care. Wow, dude, it's like, that's the thing about New York is you come out here, you think it's going to be nice, right? It says 70-something degrees, like 8-mile-an-hour winds, right? And then you come out and it's like all you hear is whoosh from the wind. Feels like you're in a hurricane. Like, what the fuck? New York, dude, bipolar weather. Anyway. So yeah, I thought I'd do another podcast because kind of filling in time until I put a new inner tube in the Commander Pro. Because what happened was I recently put a street tire on the Commander Pro from the knobby tire that came stock with the Commander Pro. And when I put that street tire in, I messed up the inner tube. Because what happened is I actually installed the inner tube properly, but when I installed it, I was a little bit wobbly, the wheels, so I wanted to fix that. And I took some advice online, which was basically like, lower your PSI to try to fix this wobble in the wheel. Because usually it's the tire's not seated properly on the wheel. And so you have to try to seat the tire properly on the wheel. And they said lower the PSI to where it's barely, rideable or whatever. And it'll kind of increase the PSI every 5 PSI and kind of massage the tire. And one guy said, yeah, ride it when it's kind of low and it'll automatically kind of fix the wheel being seated unevenly, and then pump it up slowly as you go from there. But you don't have to massage it, you just ride it. I'm like, okay, I'll try that. And I came all the way down to the East Village to start my delivery shift on the Commander Pro. And I thought, hey, while I'm there, it's slow, I can just try to fix this tire by lowering the PSI and riding it and making it fix itself a little bit. And what happened is I lowered the PSI too much. I got on the wheel and my tire went sideways and it ripped the inner tube. And the valve is through a metal hole. It sticks through the rim. The valve, it sticks through the rim. And because the tire went sideways, it ripped the valve out from the inner tube. And my CP, my Commander Pro, went flat. And I'm like, damn it, dude, did I just pinch it? But even worse, I ripped the valve out. So I was stuck at East Village, and I live in Midtown, with a heavy-ass Commander Pro. I went to a bike shop. Okay, guys, let me just say this. Yeah, I jump topics a lot. I say it's going to be a shorter podcast. I say I'm going to edit it, and then I start talking. So we'll see what happens. Also, I can't stay out too long because I'm on the MTen4, which I'll talk about here in a second. MTen4 only gets for me, it gets anywhere from 16 to 18 miles typically, I've noticed. Anyway, back to the story. So here I am with a flat tire in East Village. So I know some bike shops that are a few blocks away, so I walk the CP to a bike shop on 1st and 2nd, I think it is. And I get in there, they're like, yeah, sorry, we don't work on electric bikes, we only do mechanical bikes. And I'm because I was like, okay, and I rolled it in there, I'm like, how much is it to patch us up so I can basically ride it home? And they're like, nope, sorry, we don't do that. Don't work on those kind of bikes, even though it was at EUC. I'm like, oh, fuck. He suggested me go to another place that's a few blocks away. I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, I'll just take the train back home. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. That's why I'm not going to put out any content with the CP probably for a week, because I have to buy another inner tube online, and then that's going to take a couple days to get here, and then I have to install it again, which is no fun. But I'm not going to take off the whole wheel this time on this Commander Pro. I'm just going to unseat the tire from the rim. Since I already had it seated on there, I don't have to go through all this complicated shit. I already took the old tube out, so I'm going to try to put the new tube in there without pinching it and installing it without taking off the tire, blah, blah, blah. Should save me a couple hours. Anyway, so that's the story why I'm not releasing Commander Pro content for probably a week. All right. So yeah, I'm on the bike pathway right now. It's like 8:20 maybe, something like that. So and it's a nice day, nice night. So there's a lot of people out. So my focus may be shifted here. Yeah, so I'm on the MTen4. This isn't going to be like a review or anything like that. Just kind of my thoughts. I guess you could say it's a review. But really, I haven't done too much research on the MTen4. And there's plenty of proper reviews out there on the MTen4. There's no need for me to rehash what's already been said. On top of that, my channel is not really about reviews, you know? I mean, it could be, and I could do it. But I'm not really interested in that. I'm not really interested in taking that amount of time to review a product. I'd rather just kind of talk about it. I'm interested in doing food delivery and showing that. So that's kind of where my focus is. So don't worry, guys. This isn't going to suddenly change for what you subscribe for. If you subscribe for food delivery videos, you're going to get mainly food delivery videos. It's just a weird time right now where I just got the Commander Pro and I'm just putting out podcasts right now. So don't worry, okay? You'll get your food delivery videos if that's what you subscribe for. So yeah, on the MTen4, let's talk. So I got the MTen4 from eWheels, 600 watt hour. You can get the 300 watt hour, but I want to recommend it. The max mileage on the 300 watt hour is like 15 miles if you're lucky, but you'll likely get less than that. Probably like 12 to 13 would probably be my guess for most people. And that don't last very long. So yeah, the one I got, 600 watt hours, I personally get like 16 to 18 miles. At first I was getting like 12 to 13, and it was confusing me because, long story short, the EUC World app wasn't reading the mileage properly. And I know that because I compared it to other apps for the MTen4, and the other apps gave me higher mileage for the battery usage. EUC was under reporting it. And so I was taking all my cues from EUC, and I thought EUC World, and so I thought I was getting lower mileage. But I compared it to the GPS with Google Maps. I compared it to some random other apps, mileage apps, and those are more close to each other. And the only one that was off was EUC World. So I went through all this. I tore down the wheel. I made sure I had the right battery because I thought at first maybe I got the 300 watt hour battery. But nope, I had the 600 watt hour. And one way I confirmed that, I took apart the battery, or I took apart the wheel, and I saw the battery, and indeed said 600 watt hour. Cool, so no problem there. And it was actually a whole ordeal. It took me a while to finally figure out that it was the EUC World that was giving me the wrong mileage. But I'm glad I found that out because I was just like, dude, what the hell? They're gonna because this wheel reports like you get like 20 miles, which I have to keep track of. I gotta keep track of the freaking battery on here because it goes quick, dude. I think according to DarknessBot, I'm at 78%, and I haven't even been out here 20 minutes, I don't think. Maybe 15 or something, so I gotta be careful. Battery drops quick. But also, there is a voltage sag to where, what that means is it says 78% on the wheel, but that's because I'm using the wheel, I'm using energy. But as soon as I stop and I idle the wheel, it goes up to its true battery percentage. So where it's at now is voltage sag. As soon as I stop riding the wheel, it'll go back to its original percentage, so it's probably in its 80s or something, battery percent ideal. It's probably where it's really at. Anyway, I gotta watch the battery percentage on here. So why did I get the MTen4? I forgot what I was talking about before I talked about battery percentage. So I'm just gonna go to the next topic. Why did I get the MTen4? Let's see, I have a 16X, which is like I would say it's like a medium size wheel, 16-inch wheel, diameter wheel. That was my first wheel. Then I got the Sherman Max, which is a larger wheel, which is a 20-inch wheel. I got that for food delivery. And then after that, I got the MTen4. And then after that, which the MTen4 is a small wheel. It's only like 11 inches diameter wheel, the smallest wheel on the market. And I'm going to say why I got it, but give me a sec. And then the last wheel I got is the Commander Pro, which is also a 20-inch wheel, but it's a lot bigger. It's the biggest of the wheels I got because suspension, all that fun stuff. Okay, so with that said, I have all these other wheels. Why did I get the smallest wheel in the market with less power, with less range, way less range? It's because it's a fun wheel. It's I guess you could say trick wheel, but I'm not really a person that does tricks, but I should because I think I'd get a lot more enjoyment out of it. But I live in the city. I live in Manhattan, and it's fun taking this thing to like City Park, and like for a while I was doing some like quote unquote off-roading at City Park. I say quote unquote because real off-roading, you see these guys on EUCs and they're doing true off-roading, like jumps and like all this shit with like an MTen4. I'm not gonna get that much into it. I'm more just going off-road hitting little bumps, nothing crazy, but it's still hella fun. So I got this wheel just for having fun, just for the hell of it. Do I regret it? No. I almost had second thoughts before I got it. I almost got cold feet, though, because I knew that I wasn't going to ride it that much, especially since I have these other wheels. I wasn't sure. I thought it was going to be one of those things that you buy and you ride it like a couple weeks and then you just don't have any interest in it. And it kind of feels that way, especially since I do food delivery. I'm always on the EUC. I do full-time food delivery on the EUC, so I'm doing 40, well, lately I'm doing 40 hours plus a week. In my off time, I'm going to ride a MTen4, the smallest wheel. Would I really do that? But I have, I still give it time out of its home dwelling, aka my apartment. So yeah, I bought it just to have fun with, kind of just play around with. For those of you that don't know, the MTen4, like I said, the range is about advertised 20 miles, 600 watt hour. Now they have a 750 watt hour battery. They can get maybe 25 miles out of. Well, they say 30, but anywhere from 25 to 30. Well, the 600 watt hour, it's supposed to be more efficient batteries, especially at like lower percentage. So technically, you should get close to around the same range. I don't know, whatever. But I got the 600 watt hour. The speed, the max speed they report, I think it's around 25 miles an hour. Have I gone 25 miles an hour on this? No, because with EUCs, when you push the upper limits of its speed, especially at lower batteries, you run the risk of the EUC just basically shutting off while you're riding, and then that causes you to crash, like automatically. You're not going to save yourself from that, especially at high speeds. You're going to face plant. Here, let me go a little off-road. There's a little hill here. Ah, yeah, see, this is fun, bro. Being stupid on a fucking 11-inch wheel, going off-road up hills and shit. It's kind of what it's all about. Okay, fun over. Bro, it is freaking beautiful out, man. I'm right by the water. Sidetracked. I forgot what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. So if you go at its max speed, especially at a lower battery percentage, you have to run the risk of the battery cutting out. Then you face planting. That happens because, like I said, there's a thing. Obviously when you use anything battery operated, the more energy you ask out of it, the faster it's going to drain. It's asking a lot out of the battery. So if it's at low battery and then you ask a lot out of it, like let's say you try to accelerate real hard with low battery percentage, like you lean forward, you try to get more speed out of it, do something high torque, go up a hill, you're sucking a lot of battery out of it at low battery. It could voltage sag below its limit, cut out the wheel, whatever. I don't know the technicalities behind that, but you don't want to push it when the battery's low, can cut out the wheel. So that's why I haven't gone 25 miles an hour. And plus, it's kind of sketchy on this little wheel. Once again, the wheel's 11-inch diameter, so the stability is not as good as like a larger diameter wheel, like for instance the Sherman or the Commander Pro, or any other EUCs with larger diameter wheels. The larger the diameter wheel, the more stable you are, especially at high speeds. The more agility you have with lower diameter wheels, but the less stable it is. So that gets me to my next point. The stability of this wheel is, well, at least when you first get on it, I can say it's pretty janky. It's like wobbly. And my first thing was like, dude, this is sketchy. Like, I don't get wobbles on wheels for some reason anymore. Like, I just don't get wobbles hardly any anymore. But when I got on this thing, I had a good amount of experience. Probably had like a year of EUC experience, maybe a little bit more at that point. And I got on this, I'm like, whoa, and I was like wobbling. I was doing the wobbles. Since then, I angled the pedals a little sharper, and I kind of know the PSI a little better of the wheel, and I'm kind of more familiar with the wheel, so I don't really get wobbles anymore on this thing. But I still do, but not really. Let's check my battery percentage again. 75%. Okay, well, it only dropped 2% since I've been talking. What the fuck? Okay. I kind of like these podcasts, bro. Yeah, I kind of... Sidetracked. Yeah, so it was really wobbly, really sketchy, especially the faster you go. You don't want to hit bumps on this little thing. You're going to eat shit if you hit bumps. It's not going to absorb it like a bigger diameter wheel would. So you got to be careful. But with the smaller diameter wheel, it's much more intuitive. I personally think it's more like a video game, like especially when you're riding in the street and shit, like especially here in Manhattan, like the streets are fucked up a lot of places. I gotta give credit to the city though. This last year, they've been working a lot of the roads, but there's just too many roads here, and there's just too many messed up roads to get them all And so inevitably you're going to be riding on shitty ass roads. And with the M10-4, it's kind of like a video game because it's so small. You're like, huh, huh, huh. And you're like dodging these little like holes in the ground and shit. It's kind of fun. You know, it brings a different kind of level of fun to a wheel. Because with the larger wheel and you see all these bumps and shit on the road, you're just like, whatever, let me just dodge it. Whatever, let me just roll over it, whatever. But on this, it's kind of like, it's like you're skiing and shit. I don't know, so it makes it like a little video game. So the funness factor is different. Like when you go off-roading with this, like you feel everything, you know? And that's another thing, I'll talk about the tire here, which makes a difference, especially on this little wheel. So yeah, I'm kind of by like a little grass area, but you gotta be careful. You don't wanna like unexpectedly hit a root because you'll eat shit. Like I said, the stability's not that high. But yeah, so it's funner going off-road. You can really have some fun with this thing, you know? And once again, that's why I got it. It makes it more challenging too. And people say that when you ride a little wheel like this, or you just ride more wheels in general, the more experience you get, the better rider you get. And I can say that's true. I'm not gonna go off, well, maybe I will talk about that. I feel like I talked about the stability of the wheel enough. Just briefly, after I got my Commander Pro, which is the heaviest wheel that I've had, when I got off the Commander Pro and I got back on my Sherman after a couple days of riding which Sherman's a big wheel too, 86 pounds. The Commander Pro is 10 pounds heavier, but just that little difference plus the suspension. I got on the Sherman Max, which is a big wheel, and it felt tiny. It felt like a 16X. The Sherman felt light after riding the Commander Pro a while. Man, I used to never come up here like what the hell? City Park, is that right? No. I used to never come up by Central Park like at night. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm in an area which I didn't even know was here until I started going to Central Park. And I tell you what, it is freaking beautiful right now. And this city needs this because all you see is like concrete everywhere, skyscrapers, and all of a sudden you come to a little park area like this that's in the cut, you don't even know it's here. And it kind of reminds me of living back in Ohio, because in Ohio it was more trees and shit like that, more like you would think of like camping and you know that kind of thing back there. Here you just think of like homeless people and concrete, right? Anyway, what I was saying, so I went from the Commander Pro to the Sherman Max. And it felt like a kid's wheel. It's so weird because the Sherman Max, it's not a small wheel. And I think that happened because your muscles get like accustomed to, you know, your muscles adapt, right? Everyone knows that. So when you first get on a bigger wheel, you're gonna get tired more easy until you get used to the wheel, until your muscles get accustomed to it, get stronger or whatever you want to call it. And so once your legs get accustomed to, in my case, the Commander Pro, and then I get back on the Sherman, now all of a sudden the Sherman doesn't feel like it used to. It feels a lot smaller. You get a little bit more experience. And I was like, before I thought maybe riding backwards on the Sherman Max was a little bit more difficult. And then just from the strength of riding the CP around, all of a sudden even riding backwards got easier. So yeah, I bring that all up just to give you an idea of how like riding different wheels gives you a different perspective and all that. So if you could imagine going from something like a Commander Pro, which is the biggest wheel I have, 96 pounds, high off the ground pedals, and then you get on the freaking MTen4, which is the smallest wheel on the market. It's like, what am I even riding? Am I riding a carpet? And you don't obviously feel that way because you can feel everything on the road. So yeah, just wanted to share that. So when you buy this wheel, you have an option, at least from eWheels where I got my wheel, my MTen4, you have an option of getting like a hybrid tire, which they say is a street tire, but it looks more like a hybrid tire to me. Or you can get like a knobby tire, which is the stock tire that they usually put on these things. I haven't rode the stock tire on the MTen4, but from all the reviews I looked at, most people say that you can really feel the knobby tire when you're on the road. So you feel every little bump, like every little knob on that tire. So it's like, people say it's like massaging your feet, you know, and that's saying it kindly. So there's a huge difference, you know. You don't really notice that on bigger wheels with the knobbies. And I don't know if it's a different kind of knobby or what, and that's why you feel it. But on the MTen4, I suppose you can really feel it. Now, obviously, that's good on off-road and shit, but riding on the street, not that fun. So since I'm in the city, I got the street tire, which is great. And it's kind of a wide rim. It's like a 3-inch wide rim. That's like the widest rim I think you can get for EUCs is a 3-inch. So it's basically like like a scooter tire. I think those have like wider rims, but the wheels are smaller diameter. So it's like riding one freaking scooter wire. wire. It's like riding one scooter tire, you know? So yeah, super responsive, super maneuverable, good grip, but because it's so small, it's a little wobbly. So yeah, I realize I'm not saying anything like new under the sun here, guys. So if you're listening to this, you'll probably just enjoy this kind of format or you're bored. So congratulations, you made it this far. Ooh, here's a little off-road. Ugh. You know, I didn't even check the tire pressure. I haven't rode this thing in like a couple of weeks. I'm gonna take a picture of it with the light on, actually. Put it against this tree over here. It's too bad my iPhone, like, it makes like a... Oh, I just realized another thing I could talk about after I mounted this. Pain in the side of my shin. I was gonna say, it's a shame that, which I'll talk about here in a sec. It's a shame that my iPhone, when I take a picture, it leaves like this light streak. So the picture probably not gonna look that good, but for the nighttime light picture, the thing that sucks about this wheel that's kind of crappy is the sides of it, which is something that everyone says when they do a review on this. Like mounting this wheel, specifically mounting this wheel, the outer shell of this thing, there's basically no shell. It's like a thin padding, and it's like super sharp. And so when you mount it, what happens is when you mount wheels, you put more weight, obviously, on the wheel that on the foot that you're mounting with. Oh wait, I said that wrong. So the foot that you have on the wheel, you're gonna lean against the side of your shin so you can mount your other foot, if that makes sense. So you're putting the side of the EUC up against your leg to mount your other foot, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And so since this is a small wheel, when you mount and you put the EUC against your leg like that to mount your other foot to get on, it just cuts in the side of your shin. And because it's so sharp, it like hurts like a motherfucker. Like, you would think they would address that, but being Begode, the company that made this, they don't really think of some things like that. But yet people still buy this stuff. So yeah, when you get this, if you were to get this, it's painful. So most of these things, if you see on the pictures I have here, I got padding here on the side, baby bumpers, because for that specific purpose, mounting the wheel. There is a trick to it. You just basically don't lean the EUC against your leg. You kind of like don't lean it against your leg when you mount it, which is a little harder to do. It's a less stable to do that, but you can do that. I don't know how to explain it. You still leave your foot mounted, but you just don't lean the wheel against your leg, so it's a little harder to do. Now you can do that, but who wants to do that all the time? Check the battery percentage here again. See, I'm at 61%. Okay. Battery goes quick. So yeah, there's not really much to say about it. There's not much to say about the MTen4, you know. For a little wheel, it has a lot of torque, like a lot of torque. Like this little fucker, you look at it and it looks like a toy. Like, it's comical, you know, especially if you don't know what the hell it is and you're some outsider looking at it. Like, here I'm a full-grown man, right, riding a freaking 11-inch wheel. It's like a circus toy, you know. It's like those little what is it, tricycles or something that like you see in circuses, I guess. I don't know. I've never seen it in a circus, but so on the way up here, I had a couple people laugh at me, you know, and you're gonna get that. But who gives a fuck what they think? Oh yeah, doing like tricks and shit, it's a lot easier. Like going backwards, it's like probably 10 times easier going back, 10 times or more easier going backwards on this thing. Like I'm going backwards right now. It's like nothing compared to like a bigger wheel. So if you're trying to like learn how to go backwards, trying to just do simple tricks, get this wheel. If you're a new rider and you think like getting this wheel would be a solution compared to getting a bigger wheel, once again, these things have already been reported on. It's not like anything I'm saying is new here, but I would not get this wheel. I mean, you can learn on this wheel, but the issue is you may be disappointed as a new rider because you never rode one before. You get on this and it's not what you think, you know. You're not going to go that fast. You're not going to get that much range. It's unstable. It's uncomfortable. It's like, why would people buy this in the first place? But like I said, I have my reason. For fun. But you're not going to really experience that fun until you accept you're not going to go that fast. You're not going to get that much range. You're just basically getting as a casual ride experience and to trick out on. There's no really other reason to get this wheel. It's like a novelty item, really. And so you might see a lot of people with experience with EUCs getting this wheel, more so than new riders. For a new rider, you want to get a bigger wheel, one that you won't outgrow that fast, so you don't have to buy another wheel right away. Because this wheel you will outgrow fairly quickly, even as a new rider. And it's just not the same kind of stability that you get out of most other wheels. So if you were to learn on this wheel, that skill's not going to be so transferable onto other wheels. It might help a little bit, but mounting is different, riding is different. So you want to get a wheel that's kind of similar to other wheels, most of the other wheels as a new rider. Also, like I said, it's not that stable. So as a new rider, it might be even harder for you than to get like a 16X or I don't know the names of too much other wheels, to be honest. You can get other like smaller wheels in a 16X. I just don't know the smaller wheels in the I don't know those wheels very much. Those are kind of slightly before my time. I haven't really gave too much thought of them because they're slightly outdated as well. But yeah, something like a 16X, something around there would be like a good starting wheel. So the wheel I would get as a starter that you're not going to outgrow, it has good range, good power, good weight for a beginner. A wheel, yeah, it's like the perfect beginner wheel, and it's a great wheel, and it's a high performance wheel. Good mileage, decent price, not too big, not too heavy, perfect for a new beginner. I would say, and most people would probably say, get the InMotion V12 high torque. There's an InMotion V12 high speed, and then there's an InMotion V12 high torque. You want to get the one with the high torque preferably, especially as a new rider, because high torque means you get greater acceleration at low speeds. Braking is better. You can overcome obstacles easier because it has high torque. So if you're ever in a situation where you have to go up a hill, which even the V12 high speed would get you up a hill, it's kind of an advanced wheel actually. You could still do it with a high speed wheel, and it's still a great beginner wheel. But ideally, you want to get the high torque because as a new beginner, you're not going to be going. I don't know how fast they go. I think the V12 goes 40 miles an hour, which is maybe around there. I know the 16X, which is like its predecessor from a different company, basically. It's like the most similar wheel that to compare it to. The top speed on that is like 31, and I think the V12, which is basically an updated version from a different company. It's basically like the same kind of a wheel as the 16X, but you get more speed. I think the motor's a little bigger. You get more range. The battery's slightly bigger. Don't quote me on the motor part, but I know the battery's bigger, so you get more range. And it's a faster wheel. It's just a more advanced wheel than the 16X. So yeah, you might get 40 miles an hour out of that, but as a new beginner, you're not going to be hitting 40 miles an hour. So you're going to be wanting something it's better at low speed. So get a high torque. The InMotion V12 high torque for a beginner would be the wheel I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend the MTen4. It's too small, too unstable, and it's unlike any other wheel that you ride. So those skills aren't going to be transferable, and you may be disappointed as your first time riding experience on this EUC. I mean, you could go with this wheel as your first wheel, but just know those caveats that I just said, so you won't be disappointed when you get it. It's a great wheel for its specific purpose to have fun as a novelty item in my experience, but for any other usage, food delivery, to expect anything outside of this wheel, you're going to be disappointed. The headlight's pretty good. It looks like a minion. I've never seen those movies, but you know what I mean. Those little minions with the eyeball. That's what it looks like. Oh yeah, so the pedals suck. The pedals are like cast iron, I think. And the point that sucks about them is the studs. They're like slippery. They're not like the steel spike pedals, the steel studs that are kind of sharper and has good grip on like other wheels. This one's cast iron. They're not sharp, so they don't stick in the soles of your shoe, and they're kind of rounded out, and they're cast iron, so they're slippery. And you can argue that, hey, I'm not going that fast or whatever on this wheel, but your feet will still slip on this thing, and having slippy feet on an EUC is the last thing you want. So the pedals suck. Most people are going to upgrade the pedals. I haven't because pedals are expensive, so I just wear freaking boots with their own nubs. And I angled the pedals, which is another option you can do. They come flat, but you can angle the pedals certain degrees, which kind of keep you more locked in. And I angled the pedals, so I'm a little bit more locked in now. Yeah, like I said, I just put out this podcast, because I wanted to put a video out with a Commander Pro, but the whole issue with the inner tube and having to wait for the inner tube to install it and to make a video on it. I'm probably going to put this podcast out first, and I have another idea of a video I've been wanting to put out, so I may just do 2 videos before you see any Commander Pro content. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this for whatever it is. I know it's different, but what the hell, If you don't want to watch it, well, it's a little too late now, but you don't have to. That's a good thing about YouTube. It's a good thing about not being forced to do anything. You don't have to watch it. Anyway, I'm out. I'm off here, guys. Talk to you guys later.